All right, so my wonderful wife purchased a 2012 Mercedes GLK 350 4MATIC. She knows I like challenges, so she got me a gift. I've struggled to find any public information about this car, unlike my Chevy, and I had a hard time figuring this problem out, and I aggregated a lot of information from a lot of places online. The problem I'm trying to fix here is a noise from the rear driver's side. Beginning this project, I had conflicting info from a couple shops. Best guess was a noise coming from the bumper. You could get more movement than it should have, so I figured why not, and had my buddy help me take it apart, my buddy Sam. There was a lot of discrepancy about how to remove the bumper in the posts I could find, and I took the approach to remove the tail lights with 3 bolts from the inside. This was a very manageable approach, and then remove the bumper after that. You start by taking all the insides out of the trunk and remove a couple trim pieces. Now there are 4 bolts from the inside, and the first big problem you're going to come to is the fact that you need, I don't know, an ultra deep well socket or something. The bolts are probably 4 to 5 inches long, so my buddy Sam came up with the concept of nesting 2 sockets.
All right, so this project was unmanageable without this tool that was built, which is a what, 5/8 or something? A 5/8 mixed with the 10 millimeter, and it was hammered down. And that was Sam's idea, which allowed us to get a deep well long enough to get over those 4 screws in the back. The 2 middle ones are longer than the outer 2. The outer 2 are actually, I don't know, 3 inches or whatever. The middle ones are like 4 or 5. So that's a tool you'll need. I don't know, it's probably a $900 Mercedes-Benz tool, but we built it for the cost of we may have damaged the 5/8 going into the end of it, but who knows.
Now you remove 4 of them from the inside of the trunk, and then you have to remove all the black clips that face toward the rear. I found it best to remove one of the screws holding the wheel shroud on as well. And then the other bolts underneath are pretty obvious. There's 2 on each side and then 2 in the middle. Now the most 2 difficult fasteners to remove are kind of hidden. One of them is a screw. It's in the same place on each side, and I believe it's 8 millimeters. You have to kind of pull the shroud out and get a deep well up in there. And the bolt hole is not directly north and south. It's kind of tilted towards the front of the car. So you have to hit it at a kind of weird angle, and it's very challenging. I found it more challenging when putting it back together because you have to push the trim panel in so that it lines up. And it's kind of tricky to get on right. We ended up removing the shroud entirely because it's the second part of this project. But that was, just part of my thing. I don't think you need to take the whole shroud off. The other challenging thing that you won't obviously find is a black plastic connector that's inside the shroud behind the bumper connecting it to a metal bracket, and it's on both sides in the same place. Once this is all removed, the last thing you'll need to do is remove the bumper with these white clips that are slid into the black bracket that's on the car, and it's what's basically mounting the bottom of the taillights. It's relatively easy when you have some plastic pry bars, maybe some small flathead screwdrivers, and decent force. So once we had the bumper off, I found the bracket that was loose and rattling, and you can see me shake it here. It made some noise, but I was skeptical because the noise we were hearing was way louder. But we tightened it anyway and put it all back together. Now, that did not fix the problem, and to finish the story, we took it to a lift the next day, got deeper into it, and I was convinced it was the strut. The shop that we took it to said that strut shouldn't be making that noise. Pulled it apart and found this. All right, get closer, because I think this is the problem. So this is the strut, everything's good, bushings look good. I don't see any problems except for this top, this nut. I don't think that's supposed to be that loose. So we're gonna look at the nut here and then this inside piece, which I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm gonna take a look at it. Now, once put back together, the noise was gone, wife was happy, time for a margarita with Sam. There's your lunch.